The first part was about the way they felt when I materialized. This part is about the morning that I finally realized that the dread had found its way back home and turned its axis inward. That the man who made rooms tremble now was trembling in the gizzard of his own nocturnal hours, not from enemies, from absence, not from threat, from the unbearable and growing iridescence of a silence where the fear used to be, where the vigilance once lived. I stopped checking exits. That's the thing that nothing can forgive. And a man like me, complacency is just a slow kind of ending. And I felt it in the way I sat, the way I stopped attending to the room with my full instrument. Something had grown diffused. The dread I weaponized for years had turned into a truce.
When the dread turns inward, it don't knock, it colonizes. Fills the space where your acuity used to run its exercises. Now I'm frightened of the softening, frightened of the ease, frightened that the man they feared is gone and learned to breathe without the weight and breathing light in this life. Is just another word for underneath.
For underneath, there's a taxonomy of fear that most men never study. The fear that clarifies, the fear that makes them muddy. Weaver run transparent, that's the fear I always cultivated. Used it like a scalpel, kept it honed, kept it rated against the whetstone of the life I chose. But there's another fear beneath that one, the kind that comes to smother when the scalpel hand grows steady in the wrong direction. Steady toward repose, steady toward the soft inflection of a man who's done enough, who lets the afternoon arrive without a purpose and a posture, who forgets that to survive at this altitude requires perpetual expenditure of tension. At the moment you relax, you've written your own declension. When the dread turns in, we don't knock, it colonizes. Fills the space where your acuity used to run its exercises. Now I'm frightened of the softening, frightened of the ease, frightened that the man they feared is gone and learned to breathe without the weight and breathing light in this life. It's just another word for underneath. Watch my own reflection pour a whiskey without scanning the periphery, without the habitual and ancient planning of contingencies. Just poured, just drank, just stood and felt the pleasure of it in a way I never could. Because before the pleasure came already annotated with the threat that two were inseparable. They operated as a single compound, danger and delight in the same molecule. Now the danger's gone, the delight feels minuscule. Orphaned from its twin, I am a man who lost his counterweight and slowly courts a center that feels approximate, not precise, not the surgical alignment that I knew when the dread was still external. When the adversary drew me forward, gave me orientation, gave me edge against the dark. Now the dark is ambient, just the ordinary arc of evenings without consequence. And I am unmoored by the mild, by the unremarkable Tuesday, by the unexamined and low compound hours of a life that lost its predator and with it lost its shape. The hunter man has purpose, the unhunted man must stray, leaning over mornings out of nothing, out of voluntary will. And I was never never built for voluntary, I was built for still waters that conceal the current, for the tension under surface, for the life that hums with latent danger. That's my purpose. Without it, I'm a frequency with nothing left to modulate, a signal broadcasting into silence, waiting to resonate. The room don't quiet anymore when I walk in, or maybe it does and I stop registering the din. Either way the weight is shifted, either way the skin I wore so long is losing now. And underneath the grin of the man they still fear is a man who's frightened of how thin that fear is worn from within. From within.